News Radio 840 WHAS. Coming up on today's Louisville Real Estate Show, it's all about cold weather and how to deal with it. We've got questions about water leaks caused by frozen pipes, ways to get rid of snow without having to lift a heavy shovel, what happens if someone falls on your property and hurts themselves because of snow and ice, and some tips on keeping your home warmer this winter. Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Sokoler, owner of the Sokoler team at Remax Properties East. Thank you for joining us today. Got a good show, lots of questions. Let's get to it. First, let me introduce the folks who will be with us. Chuck Crosby. He is the owner of the Crosby Law Offices. They do a phenomenal job of getting your loan closed. And yes, you can pick the closing attorney that you want, but if you're going to be able to pick somebody, you want to pick somebody who you got good credentials and who gets a good rating, and that's where Chuck comes into play. He does on all levels. You can reach Chuck for wills, closings, power of attorney. 499-6360 is his number. Also here, Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service and Team Bug Out. If you're thinking about buying a home, you want to get inspected, whether it's new or it's pre-existing, you can call Brad and his group at 844-411-TEAM. And if you're thinking of selling your home now or in the near future, I would love to be able to help you. No home too big, no home too small. We work in both the Louisville area and southern Indiana. And it's me. I come out, we talk as long as you want. It's a free, no obligation analysis, and I'd love to help you. You can reach me on my cell phone anytime at 502-376-5483. That's 376 live. Or go to bobsellslouisville.com, fill out the form, hit submit, and I'll get it and call you. And if you want a free instant analysis of what your home is worth, do not hesitate. Go to WeSellLouisville.com, click at the top of the page, and fill out the information. Hit submit. You'll get almost an instant computer analysis. All right, we start with Chuck Crosby at the Crosby Law Office. Chuck, Tony has heard us about condo leaking problems, and now she's experiencing her own problem. Apparently the condo above hers leaked when the cold weather froze, and Brad will talk about that if pipes freezing in a little bit, and the pipe busted. The repairs have been made, but she is getting a bill for the drywall repair in her condo, and she's wondering what steps should she take. Does she have to pay the bill because it's not her fault? It's the upstairs tenant or owner, and she's getting stuck with a repair bill for the drywall and repairs in her condo. Chuck.
Okay, well, it depends on a bunch of stuff. First off, whenever condos are set up, they're going to have their bylaws and their, rules and regulations and things like that. And it's going to define what's a common area and what's a limited common area. Okay, generally the residents are responsible for the limited common areas and the HOA for the common areas. Okay, they're defined differently. But in the normal case, something like this where a pipe that is in a common area, it's under common control, the HOA is required to take care of them. If that breaks and then damages, well, generally the condo is going to need to pick up that drywall. Now, they may not be aware of that yet, but a couple of letters might help that out. Now, once you get the drywall in, once the unit is put back into order, it's generally the residents' problem to take care of it from that point. So drywall up, well, the tenant's going to have to paint it and do all that kind of stuff. So typically they don't have to take care of the paint. Okay, but putting the drywall back in, that's usually something a condo would do. Now, if the condo doesn't, if they've got some screwy language in their bylaws that say, no, it's not their problem, well, she still didn't cause it. Okay, who caused it is what we need to find out. Was it something from the unit above? But it sounds like, that's sounding like a condo or an HOA issue to me.
I can't believe that the owner who was affected, not the one that caused the problem, but the owner has to pay or have to do the painting. Shouldn't that be the owner
but they
above?
always do.
Yeah.
They always do. It's going to be limited to what their responsibility is. If a roof leaks, well, yeah, they'll put your ceiling back, but you've got to do all the painting and whatnot.
So we'll talk more about the drips in the cold weather and how to
Yeah.
protect your home. But Brad, real quickly on your thoughts, keep a faucet running at a slow drip just to prevent that type of problem from happening with the freeze?
Yeah, that's the best thing you can do. There's outside lines, the hose spigots right now that you can't, probably keep water running in those. Know where your shutoff valves are. That's the most important thing now. Well, I've just had a personal experience with a water line that must have frozen up and thawed out with that little bit of warm weather, and now we've got a drip at the church building. So, it's those things are starting to, be uncovered as we have these warming spells, and then it's going to get colder again, and we'll have things freezing up again. So keep water running where you can, and just know how to shut it off if something does break.
And a reminder, a little later on in the show, we'll talk about some cold weather tips to keep you warmer for less money. And Chuck, did you have something else to add to this? I thought
I was going to say,
detected.
you sound like you're surprised about the.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Usually the agreements will specify where it goes, where the condo insurance and where the residence insurance picks up. Mm-hmm. And it's different with different condos. I know there are certain condos here in town where they'll take it all the way in. If there's like a fire, they'll bring it all the way in and they'll replace the ceramic even. Okay. But the vast majority of them are to the drywall only. Okay. And then you have to pick it up from there on out.
So look at your covenants and conditions and see what they say. All right. Over to Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service. Arnie sent us an urgent email this week. Cold temperatures caused another water problem. Apparently the water froze. He's wondering, is that common? How can he prevent it? Okay, so we touched on the little drips to keep your faucets. Is there anything else, like keeping the doors to outside cabinets where the water might be open?
Yeah. So anytime you got water lines on an exterior wall, let's start there. Then keep your cabinet doors open, get a little bit of airflow in there if possible. Keep the water dripping. I know, there's always a debate about what is a drip. I think a stream of water about the size of a pencil lead is about right. People say, well, it's wasteful. But water is cheap compared to the cost of doing the repair bill on it. If you've got areas like an attic where you've got water lines running through it and there's really is no way to keep those warm, you may want to talk to someone about, plumber can typically do the insulation. Install heat tape. Heat tape is a way to keep those pipes from freezing, those areas that are exposed. A little bit more of a permanent kind of solution, but well worth a small investment for the protection that you get. Water lines running through crawl spaces are usually will stay warm enough, but people keep crawl space vents open. Sometimes those areas get a little bit cooler than you'd anticipate. So even if the water lines are running through a crawl space, you still want to be a little bit aware and careful of making sure that the water doesn't stay still in those pipes where it can freeze, particularly out near the edges of the foundation.
Got it. A reminder, if you hear something interesting, you want to hear it again, or let somebody that you know hear about it from our radio show, go to LouisvilleAnswers.com. That's LouisvilleAnswers.com. That is a redirect to our radio show, which is actually also videotaped and is on YouTube. So you see the whole thing by going to LouisvilleAnswers.com. Also a reminder, if you want to see what people are saying about us with our reviews, and we're very proud of our reviews, you can go to LouisvilleZillow.com. or LouisvilleGoogle.com. We made that pretty easy for you to do. Back over to Chuck Crosby. With the Crosby Law Office, Amy has a problem, and in this email she wrote that her home is on the market 2 weeks ago during that freeze that we had in the storm. I should also point out a lot of snow. She had a showing for her home, and one of the buyers in this party slipped on the ice, hurt her leg. It's supposedly broken, and she is worried about the legal ramifications and if she will end up paying for the injury. So for Amy and all others who are listening, if you're visiting even a friend and you slip and fall, what's the ramifications for the person who owns the property?
Well, it depends. The courts are going to, you're supposed to keep it reasonably clean. Okay. What's reasonable? Well, that's what the courts decide, right? If you've shoveled it and you've salted it and somebody's just kind of klutzy or goes off the beaten path and wanders around to that little ice field over there, well, you may not have a whole lot of problems. The thing is, make sure you have your insurance. Obviously, if you have a home, you should have homeowners insurance. Something happens, just let them know about it, and then they'll generally take it from there. Will you pay a lot of money? Well, that's to be seen. If you told everybody, "Hey, I've shoveled, it's all great. Oh, that's wet water, that's not ice," and it turns out to be ice, well, you got yourself a problem. It's what the court is going to determine is reasonable. Did you reasonably keep the property free from this? Now, oddly, you can also throw in there the fact that if you do something, you're expected to do it to the level of a person who does that sort of thing. So if you go out and say, "Oh yeah, I shoveled," and you shoveled like a 2-year-old, well, that may not be reasonable. But take all your reasonable precautions, shovel, ice it, salt it, and you ought to be okay.
And tell me if I'm right on this. If something does happen, God forbid, go out there at that moment when as soon as you can, at least take pictures. Take pictures. Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We had something like that happen in our subdivision, and it's like, okay, this person might come back and say they slipped on the ice. So took pictures of all the spot where there was blood on the road and demonstrating that there was no ice, there was no water. This person just tripped. And, it never came of anything, but always a good idea.
Our social media sites are out there. We've got our main one, which would be our Facebook page. You can look for us, or LouisvilleAnswers.com, which is a redirect to our YouTube channel. This question for Brad Lawler at Home Team Inspection Service comes off of another social media site. It's from Sharon, who says, "I'm stuck inside, bored to death. I thought I'd ask a dumb question of the smart people here. What's bothering me is she keeps her thermostat at 73 in both summer and winter. In summer, she says, I'm comfortable in bare feet, short sleeve shirts, and pants, crop pants. But now, in winter, still 73 degrees. Around the house, she's wearing ski pants, long sleeve shirts, hoodie, socks, and she's still cold. So why is it, Brad, do you know, Chuck, maybe you know, if it's 73 year round in the house, why do you feel colder when it's winter outside at 73 degrees inside?
Well, I have a couple of suspicions. Of course, I don't know anything about the house, but
Right.
A few things. You've got drafts that take place. I mean, you think about where your cold is. Your cold stays at the floor. So the colder air in the winter, the floor stays a little bit cooler. The heat is a little bit higher. So, your head level, you're feeling a little bit more heat. And I think she's probably feeling a little bit of that temperature differential just between, the colder drafts at the floor level in the winter than she notices in the summertime. The other thing, some houses, a house with carpet is probably a little bit less likely that you're going to have the big differences between a hardwood floor or some sort of a vinyl product, or even a marble or a tile floor. Those are going to soak up a little bit of the extra cold from below. So slab may be a little bit more consistent than a house in a crawl space. But so I think you got a lot of those differences, and then just the heat blowing. Your heat's going to rise, and so I think you're going to end up feeling cold feet, maybe some drafts, and maybe time to talk to someone about possibly new windows even. So a lot of variables there, but those are a couple suspicions I have.
And we have more tips coming up, actually, to help keep you warm in just a few minutes. We're going to take a break. When we come back, these great, I think, some really good tips on keeping you warmer for less money. Continuing with us, Chuck Crosby. He's the owner of the Crosby Law Offices. They do a great job at getting your loan closed, whether it's new construction or a resale. You can reach Chuck at 499-6360. Also, Brad Lawler, he's owner of the Home Team Inspection Service and Team Bug Out. And you can reach Brad to get your home inspected or to get rid of pesky bugs that might be crawling around 844-411-TEAM. And if you're thinking of selling your home now or in the future, I'd love to help you. Free, no obligation estimate. All you got to do is give me a call. I'll come out. It's me. No home too big, no home too small. 376-5483 or 376-LIVE. Or go to bobsellslouisville.com and fill out the form, hit submit. And if you want a free computer instant analysis, go to WeSellLouisville.com and click at the form on the top of the page. We're back in a moment on News Radio 840 WHAS. News Radio 840 WHAS, Bob Sokoler, the Louisville Real Estate Show. Thank you, Barbara Corcoran, a mentor. She's over on Shark Tank and is a great lady and does a great job. We appreciate her friendship. Continuing with us, Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service and Team Bug Out. They come in as a team. They do a great job, get your home inspected efficiently, and they get you a computerized report. You can reach Brad anytime on his phone at 844-411-TEAM. Also continuing with us, Chuck Crosby. He's the head guy over at the Crosby Law Offices, and they do a great job on real estate closings and wills, powers of attorney, foreclosure defense, and commissioner sale. You can reach Chuck and the team over with the Crosby Law Offices at 499-6360. And if you're thinking of selling your home now or in the future, I'd love to be able to help you. It's simple. Give me a call at 376-5483. That's 376-LIVE. Or go to bobsellslouisville.com and fill out the form. It's no home too big, no home too small. And I've worked both in the Louisville area and surrounding counties and southern Indiana. And for a free computer estimate, you can go to WeSellLouisville.com, click on the top of the page. All right, we're all freezing these days outside. Some days are better than others, but we've got some tips. Brad, Chuck, feel free to jump in anywhere. I'll give a line and you can follow up if you think. To start with, we want to seal windows and doors. Brad alluded to getting new windows, which I think is important, right? Use thermal curtains or drapes. If you're thinking about next time you replace the drapes. Yeah.
Yeah, but in the wintertime, take advantage of natural sunlight. Keep those drapes open during the day to let that sun in to help warm your house. That's free energy right there.
Use closed off rooms to help reduce the amount of airflow, but that can create a balance.
Don't like it. Yeah, that's I don't like that one. That's keep the vents open anyway. Just throws off the airflow in the house. Yeah.
Yep. Space heaters, that could be dangerous as well if you're using propane or the ones inside that are designed for outside, right?
Yeah, and I think though, if you use it in a smaller area, say you've got a family room that you have an electric space heater where people are just congregating in that one space, I think you may save a little bit just heating up one room rather than trying to keep the entire house at 70 degrees.
I was at a big box store this past week, bought a 1,500 watt space heater for about $90. It will do 300 square feet. And I'm using it in my garage to help take the freeze out of it when it gets cold.
Yeah.
Also, and Brad alluded to this, add rugs or carpets. It's kind of a coat on top of your floor that'll keep you a little bit warmer. Change your air filters regularly. And by that, how often on that, Brad?
Every month for most filters. Some of the high efficiency, you can go a little bit longer than that, but look at them every month.
We've talked about using programmable thermostats, also covered drafty areas by putting draft blockers or rolled towels at the base of doors to keep the breeze from coming in. Use ceiling fans in reverse to circulate warm air. Cook more meals at home, which is kind of a cute idea. Save you money also going out. Check your insulation. Use a humidifier if that's needed. Reverse your fireplace fans. I didn't know you could reverse a fireplace fan, but I guess
I didn't know.
can.
Yeah, I didn't know about a fireplace fan, but I mean, ceiling fans. Yes, you want those pointed, blowing towards the ceiling in the wintertime to move the heat back down to the lower levels.
And then finally, use a regular maintenance on your heating system. Make sure it's running at peak efficiency, and use a hot water bottle or heating pad for isolated cold areas on your body.
Yeah. Hey, one quick thing on that, Bob, about the programmable thermostats. If you have a home that has a heat pump, please do not adjust. If you're going away, say you've got it programmed, you go to the office during the day, so you lower the temperature to save some money. Heat pumps do not function very well when they have to call for auxiliary heat. So if you move it more than 2 degrees, so let's say when you leave, your house is set at 70, but your away temperature is 65, then you're actually causing yourself to burn up more electricity because you have to run auxiliary heat to move it back to 70. So on a heat pump, talk to your HVAC tech, but they'll probably keep you set just a 2 degree difference. So if you leave, normally 70, when you go away to the office, only drop it no lower than 68, and it'll
Does it
save you some
also
money.
hold? Does that hold true also with geothermal systems?
No, geothermal, you wouldn't have to worry about a gas. You don't have the penalty because you're not having to run the auxiliary heat as much.
Got it. Chuck Crosby over at the Crosby Law Office. You know this question I'm about to tell you. I've changed the name for privacy, but you picked up this when I got this call from, we'll call her Virginia. She called me this past week. She has a mom who took on a reverse mortgage. And now, of course, with all the snow and ice, has created problems for mom coming and going, and the house is too much for her. So mom wants to basically sell the house, but Virginia's afraid that mom won't be able to get out of the contract that she has with a reverse mortgage group. Chuck, you picked it up from there. What were you able to determine?
Well, I haven't been able to get a hold of them yet.
Oh,
but
okay.
With a reverse mortgage, it's a mortgage like any other. It has certain differences with mortgages, but it's still a mortgage. It still has a payoff. It still can be paid off. You can't, at least let's put it this way, the average reverse mortgage that I've seen isn't a you can't pay us off, period. There's going to be a number. That number may be higher than you expect, but you're going to be able to get out of it. Now, there are different outfits that I've seen that have created something that I don't think is enforceable. Okay, but as long as it's out there on the record, it's not going to get done. But there's ways you can get out of those in court. But you can't make a mortgage that cannot be paid off.
So for those who have seen the commercials, I think, was it Tom Selleck does one about reverse mortgage?
Yeah. I saw one for Joe Namath the other
Oh,
day.
yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. So basically, and correct me here, the mortgage, a company is buying your house and they're giving you money back.
Well, they're not buying your house. What they're doing is they're giving you a mortgage whose balance can increase.
Okay, so my understanding is this is all based on when they believe you're going to pass away. So
exactly right. So they'll the amount of money that they'll give you is based on the tables that they have, indicating when they think you're going to die. So how much are they going to give you? Are they going to keep giving you extra amounts? And there's a lot of different products. Some of them will create an income for you. I haven't seen so many of those. Normally what they do is it holds off paying them back. That way, when you pass away, then your estate comes in, has to get the payoff, and many times it's more than what the actual house is worth, at which point, do you just deed it over to them, etc. But it's in Kentucky, at least. All I can talk to is Kentucky. I've never seen one where you convey the house to someone else. Okay. Now, in other states, it may seem that way because it's the difference between a lien state and a title state. Some mortgages, you've seen them called deeds of trust. Mm-hmm. Those are in title states where the bank holds your house in trust for you. Kentucky's not one of those states. Kentucky's a state where they put a lien against your house for a particular dollar amount. So in Kentucky, when people, if somebody says, hey, the bank owns my house, something people say when there's a mortgage. Well, technically, the bank does not own your house. They have a lien against your house for a particular dollar amount. And that's the same way with a reverse mortgage here.
Got it. Over to Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service. Brad, Chip sent us an email saying he hurt his back several weeks ago, joined the crowd, shoveling snow. He's wondering if there's some other method other than hiring the kids in the neighborhood to shovel his driveway to melt snow easily. So I can add to start with, Chip, and what I'll do, Brett, I'll give you a line, and you can give me your thoughts on it. I went out and I broke the snow shovel I had because of lifting ice because it was too heavy. So I had to do something. I bought an electric snow shovel, which is basically a snow shovel, but it has tines in it that turn that supposedly throw the snow as it comes down. And then I bought my neighbor had a shovel with two handles. I don't know if you've seen these where one of them, it looks like a regular shovel, but then there's another handle midway up to help you lift it, spring loaded. So
Yeah.
I haven't tried it yet because I haven't had snow since, of course, we cleared it out. But some other things, what's it? Calcium chloride is the most widely used non-sodium ice melt product. There are concerns about what it does to the driveway and maybe your grass and shrubs, right?
Yeah, I think that anytime you're putting any of those products down, they do have the ability to damage the concrete. However, if you're washing them off as quickly as you can, the snow melt took a lot of that ice. That ice melt with it. You look at the street. I mean, the streets right now are all gray. We haven't had enough rain yet to wash it all off, but so you still see that the calcium chlorate and the other magnesium sulfates and the other things that they're using for ice melt. It's all laying out there, and I think that is all corrosive to any of the materials that it sits on. So remove it as soon as you can once we get a break in the weather and you can get the hose out and wash it down. The grass, most of those are fairly safe for grasses, but again, anything you can do to irrigate around those areas where you've had salt sitting, it'll be healthier for the plants.
All right, one line's on this. Snow melting mats. You can get them,
Seen them. Yeah, I've seen them. I know people are using them on stairs and areas to keep their pets have access to an area.
Plugs into the wall.
Yeah.
Okay. Fertilizer.
No.
Fertilizer.
No, I mean, you can use, there's only a couple of them that'll work. And right now, I wouldn't recommend that. They work. They give you a little attraction.
To melt ice?
No,
Yeah.
so it's not really a melt so much. I think the only one that melts is the one that has the high nitrogen concentration to it. I think that's the only one that works. But the problem is finding the right one.
Yeah.
I got to say, I grew up in an area where there was 7 feet of snow a year on average.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Yep.
Okay. Have you heard of coffee grounds?
No.
Yes. Yep. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
No, they're not. It doesn't help with anything. It just makes a mess.
Yeah.
rubbing it, but your lawn will like you if you bring some creamer.
A little acid. Yeah.
Yeah. Creamer. Rubbing alcohol.
Rubbing alcohol will work. I saw people use that when they had little slick spots, like a little dusting of snow. It'll work. It's expensive fix. But.
I saw some people with a spray hose or a hose with a spray nozzle. It's like, guys, no,
you don't. Yeah.
All right, quickly, sugar beet juice.
I think that's what they're using on their streets right now, and they brine.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. That's one of the products they're using is a beet juice.
Vinegar.
I don't know about vinegar.
Wood ash from your fireplace.
Again, that's messy. Gives you a little bit of traction.
Traction is that like messy. Cat litter.
Like kitty litter, right?
Yeah.
A weed torch, which is the stuff that you would burn off weeds. Looks like a big fire.
Yeah. Good luck to you. You're going to be there for a long time.
And then a heated driveway where you pull your driveway out, you put heated coils underneath and pour it again. I don't know about that.
Yeah, the only other thing I didn't hear mentioned is people that were throwing tarps over stairs and walkways before the snow hit, and then they just pulled the tarp back. That's
that never works.
I saw it work somewhat effectively in a couple areas, but yeah, I've seen people do that. And
well, up in New York, when you're a early teens, you want to get out of it as easy as possible. So you throw a blanket over the car. Everybody has learned that the next day you got a blanket stuck to your car.
Into your car. That's right. Yeah. Don't use a blanket. Yeah.
My next door neighbor, across the street neighbor, actually uses a handheld electric blower, for blowing weeds or cuttings, lawn cuttings. It looked like it worked.
When it's fluffy.
Fluffy snow,
when it works
great. Yeah.
Not going to work with ice. Yeah.
No.
We're out of time, folks. My thanks to Brad Lawler, owner of Home Team Inspection Service and Team Bug Out. You can reach Brad anytime to get your home inspected or to get rid of those pesky mice or critters at 844-411-TEAM. Also, my thanks to Chuck Crosby. He's the owner of the Crosby Law Office. They do a great job at real estate closings and wills. It's so important. Powers of attorney, foreclosure defense, and commissioner sale. You can reach Chuck at his office at 499-6360. And if you're thinking of selling your home now or in the future, I'd love to be able to help you. There's no home too big and no home too small. It's a free, no obligation estimate. It's me. I come out and we talk, and I'll give you the lay of the land, what needs to be done or not done, and then what the home is worth on the market. You can reach me at 376-5483 or 376-LIVE, or go to bobsellslouisville.com and fill out the form, hit submit. And for that free computer analysis instantly, you can go to WeSellLouisville.com and click on the top of the page. We're out of time. See you next Sunday on News Radio 840 WHAS.